Something tragic happened recently in Burkina Faso. Over 200 Burkinabé soldiers were reportedly killed in a deadly attack. Some say it's the most devastating military loss the country has seen in years. And according to several reports, the attack was claimed by groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Now let's be real. This kind of news is heartbreaking. These are not just soldiers. These are sons, fathers, brothers. These are young men who took up arms to defend their country in a time when terrorism is trying to tear West Africa apart. And to lose over 200 of them in one blow? That's a national tragedy. But while the world is focused on the body count, something else has quietly happened. Something that shows why Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not like other African leaders. According to a video circulating online and several sources close to the ground, Traoré has arrested the person believed to be supplying arms to these terrorist groups. Yes, the same terrorists behind this deadly attack may have just lost one of their biggest enablers. First, let's talk about what happened. The attack reportedly took place in a northern region of Burkina Faso, near the border, areas where terrorist cells have been active for years. These groups, often linked to Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, or ISIS in the Greater Sahara, have been responsible for countless ambushes, mass killings, and destruction of rural communities. But this attack was on a different scale. Over 200 soldiers lost in one sweep, ambushed, outgunned, and overwhelmed. And let's be honest, Burkina Faso is a country fighting on multiple fronts. On one hand, you have the external threat, these foreign-backed terror groups destabilizing the Sahel. On the other hand, you have the internal challenges, lack of funding, stretched military resources, and constant psychological pressure on the troops. When you hear that over 200 soldiers have died, it's not just numbers. It's the collapse of a front line. It's a signal that someone is arming these terrorists better than the state can arm its defenders. And this is where the story flips, because instead of hiding behind silence, Captain Ibrahim Traoré acted. According to sources and commentary online, Traoré's intelligence network identified and arrested a key supplier of weapons, a middleman allegedly providing arms to the same groups causing chaos in Burkina Faso.
We have some major breaking news coming from Burkina Faso, and let me tell you, this one is going to shock you. So the Burkina Faso government has arrested the person who has been supplying all the weapons and has been buying all the motorbikes that have been used in those attacks that have been happening in the northern part of Burkina Faso. The guy whose photo I've put here is the guy who has been working with the French and Ivory Coast alliances to ensure that Burkina Faso is destabilized. And today they were able to capture him, and now he is in Burkina Faso ready to face trial, and I don't think if he's going to survive this one. So very soon Burkina Faso is going to be very safe. This is just news that is coming in now. He has been the leader, he has been the one who has been coordinating, and in one of the raids they were able to capture him. He is now under the custody of Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traoré has said that he is so much committed to ensure that Burkina Faso is one of the safest countries and all the terrorists are neutralized as fast as possible.
Now, think about that for a moment. Most African governments would deny the attack, blame it on international factors, promise an investigation that goes nowhere, and move on. But Traoré didn't do that. He went straight to the source. He found the leak in the system, the person who was allegedly feeding the enemy with weapons, ammunition, and supplies, and he had him arrested. That's the kind of leadership West Africa has been missing. Not the type that waits for foreign help to respond, not the type that hides behind press statements and PR, but the type that takes action, fast, direct, and fearless. Now let's talk about why this is bigger than just an arrest. First, this proves something many of us have suspected for a long time. Africa's insecurity problem isn't just about terrorists, it's about collaborators. Terrorism is a business. Someone funds it, someone supplies it, someone protects it from inside the system. You can't operate as a full-blown terrorist cell in the Sahel without fuel, bullets, communication gear, and intelligence. That doesn't come from the trees. That comes from corrupt networks inside and outside the country. So when Traoré makes an arrest like this, he's not just fighting bandits in the bush. He's fighting the system that allows these terrorists to survive. And that takes guts. Because, let's not pretend Anyone supplying arms to jihadist groups is not a small boy. He's protected. He's rich. He knows people. He probably has ties to elites, foreign contractors, or even rogue elements in the military. So for Traoré to order that kind of arrest, he's not just going after criminals. He's going after the untouchables. Second, this move is a huge morale booster for the Burkinabé military. After losing so many men, it's easy for soldiers to feel abandoned. They ask themselves, what are we fighting for? They wonder, are we being set up to fail? But when their leader responds by hunting down the arms supplier and taking him out of the equation, it sends a powerful message. It says, I'm fighting for you too. It says, I will not let traitors win. And in war, that kind of leadership can be the difference between defeat and survival. Soldiers don't just fight with guns. They fight with morale, with belief. And when they see that their commander-in-chief is not sitting in luxury while they die, but actually making moves to protect them, they fight harder. That's leadership. Third, this should be a wake-up call for the rest of Africa, because Burkina Faso is not alone in this struggle. From Nigeria to Mali to Niger to Cameroon, terrorist groups have been spreading like wildfire. And in each case, the same question remains. Who is arming them? Where are the weapons coming from? Who is supplying fuel, cash, food, and shelter? Why is it that despite billions spent on defense, these terrorists always seem to have the upper hand? It's because the problem isn't just in the forest. It's in the boardrooms, in the intelligence agencies, in the corrupt networks, and sometimes even in the government. Traoré has shown that if you want to beat terrorism, you have to be ready to go where it hurts, and that includes going after your own. Let's talk real for a moment. What happened to those 200-plus Burkinabé soldiers is painful, but what Traoré did afterward, that's what makes him different. He understands that you can't win a war if the people sabotaging you are still in business. So he made a bold move. And honestly, more African leaders should follow his lead. Too many of them are hiding behind the military while cutting deals in the dark. Too many are using insecurity as an excuse to grab power, while the real problem grows. Traoré is doing the opposite. He's fighting corruption and terrorism at the same time, and he's doing it with courage. Let's give him his flowers for that. But we also have to be careful, because when you start attacking the shadowy networks behind terrorism, you become a target. Let's not pretend this was an easy arrest. There will be pushback. There may be attempts to discredit him, whispers in international media, more intense attacks, false reports, even internal betrayal. But that's the cost of real leadership. Traoré knows what he signed up for, and he knows that every move he makes now is shaping the future of his country. So he has to stay sharp, he has to stay protected, and most importantly, he has to stay clean. Because if he falls into the same traps that swallowed other African leaders, corruption, ego, or complacency, this momentum will die, and the people will lose faith. But for now, he's doing what must be done. Let me speak directly to the people watching this. If you're from Burkina Faso, stand strong. Your country is going through hell, but you have a leader who's actually fighting for you. Support him, not blindly, not foolishly, but with eyes open and voices loud. Let him know you are watching and that you appreciate courage. If you're from Nigeria, Mali, Chad, or anywhere else in Africa, ask yourself, why aren't our leaders doing this? Why aren't they exposing the arms dealers? Why are they more focused on arresting journalists and activists than the people supplying bullets to terrorists? Why are some of them shaking hands with the same foreign powers that benefit from the chaos? It's time to stop asking for sympathy. It's time to start demanding action. To wrap this up, yes, over 200 Burkinabé soldiers were killed. It's a devastating loss. But instead of folding his arms, Captain Ibrahim Traoré fought back. He didn't hold a press conference and shed crocodile tears. He made a move. He arrested someone who many believed was untouchable. That is what real leaders do. Not just talk, not just blame, but act. This is not the end of the war in Burkina Faso. Far from it. But this is a turning point. And if other African leaders are paying attention, they'll realize something. The real enemy isn't just hiding in the forest. He's hiding in plain sight. The time for silence is over. The time for action is now.